I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Kamen Riders. We're here to talk about Kamen Rider Geats episode 24. I'm your host. My name is Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. What's up, Toby?
Hi, Josh. How are you?
I am great.
Just like Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, great. I feel like that's a thing I don't get enough in my life is colorful cartoon mascots. When you get to be an adult, you just don't cross paths with those too often anymore.
Is it because you no longer eat sugary cereal?
That certainly is one of the reasons. Yes. I don't eat cereal at all anymore. Really that often. So and when we do, here's the sad state of cereal in this house. My daughter gets Fruit Loops cereal. That's what we call her cereal. But we get it home and we put it in one of those like clear plastic containers and we throw the box away. You know, the point of cereal is you have it in the colorful box and you can see the colorful toucan on the front, right?
Yeah, how else are you gonna dig through and find the toy? You have to like earn it. You're not supposed to just cheat and dump the box out. For
sure, yeah. So we ruined Fruit Loops like that. But then my wife also gets what is it? It's the I can't remember the name. They're the little squares. They kind of have the like cinnamon frosting, cinnamon toast crunch. Thank you. She gets that, which is like a little bit more of an adult cereal. Like it still is kind of a kid cereal.
That's not adult cereal, Josh. That's swimming in sugar.
I said a little bit more.
I'm not trying to judge Mrs. Josh here, but that's as bad as the Fruit Loops, if not worse. I'm sure
it's probably worse. Yeah, it's probably worse. But my daughter likes that cereal more than what we call her cereal. So our cereal situation is just completely on its head. Me, if we're talking cereal that I would get if I was going to get cereal, I'd get one of those like peanut butter ones that are just like peanut butter balls. That's just pure dessert. that one is like.
Peanut butter is top 3 worst flavors of dessert things. And I think you're even more of a monster today than yesterday for telling me you like peanut butter now.
I can't continue with this podcast if that's your opinion. You don't like peanut butter flavored things?
Peanut butter is gross. Also gross, chocolate and coconut.
Oh dear Lord. So
all the worst things.
When I get ice cream. So when I was on vacation, we got a lot of ice cream. So I have a lot of ice cream thoughts right now. When I get ice cream, my go-to flavors are like anything that has like peanut butter mixed in. Like I like the like peanut butter and like cookie stuff mixed in. Like anything that's like called like mud tracks and stuff like that is like my go-to. Like peanut butter as a flavor is like one of my favorite things.
That's horrible. And you should be mad at yourself for liking peanut butter that much.
No, I'm proud of myself for knowing what's right in a world full of people like you who like things like vanilla.
Well, see, like I don't like sweets in general, but like even just like the smell of peanut butter just is like an instant turn off for me.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to like peanut butter itself, but like the peanut butter flavor, I think, is where peanut butter really excels.
Josh, I'm gonna hit you with some facts real quick.
I don't want facts. I want feelings. Hit me with some feelings.
Okay, so I have some feelings about this. Young Joshua's cereal, the Fruited Loops that she loves in the box. 12 grams of sugar in a serving.
Okay,
12 grams. Now, let's compare this to the adult cereal that Mrs. Josh likes to eat. Guess how many grams of sugar, Josh?
Probably
that's
like
right. 12 grams.
Okay, the exact same. Okay. I only meant it was more adult in the sense that it was like more boring. Like it's not colorful. Like it's just like I guess it has a mascot too, right? The commercials they have the little cinnamon toast crunch that dances around and stuff.
Yeah, like the current box right now has freaking like cinnamon toast crunch luchadors in a fucking ring.
I totally forgot that they had mascots too. I was thinking that they were just more of a more of a straight laced cereal. But no, that you're right. They definitely do. You're sending me pictures. That is.
You need to put this in the video. So you'd like to watch a video on Josh's YouTube channel, just as the added thing, or look for the current Cinemoji Toast Crunch boxes. It's Cinnamon Toast Crunches in a wrestling ring, but the one in the back 100% has a lucha mask on because it has the fancy like swirly eyes.
Yep. So I didn't realize that they were Cinemoji. Like that was like the name. But when we were sitting at breakfast yesterday, I did look down at my daughter's bowl and realized that some of them had faces, and I was like, "What? What is happening over there?" At least, so what is the most adult cereal? What's a cereal that only adults are into? Like Raisin Bran. That is
so
that one.
I feel like they try to push that one, but again, like it's coated in sugar. I feel like the OG ones are like Special K or like Bran Flakes or like that Kashi Lean weird granola cereal stuff.
That's like a modern one, right? Like that's not from when we were kids, but like that's the one that's become the quintessential adult cereal now.
Like Kellogg's Corn Flakes, I think would
not
have been
frosted
like
cornflakes, just
regular
plain cornflakes. Yeah,
I feel like would have been like the thing for our parents when we were kids of like, this is the cereal I'm eating because it's healthy.
I think so. Did your parents ever make you eat Kix? Because that was always the cereal that was like supposed to be for kids, but like no one wanted that. Because they had the commercials that was like kid tested, mother approved. I was like, well, if mother approves, then I'm out. I don't want any part of Kix.
Well, like they were always at my dad's house, and like in middle school / high school, like I would never ate real breakfast and only have lunch in school, which is like $1 worth of like shit food, as you know.
Yeah.
So I'd have like cereal after dinner a lot just because I like cereal. So like they had Kix there, and there was something like there's no sugar added in Kix, but somehow they still tasted sweet. So I was always okay with them.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever had a bowl of Kix. Like I was just so turned off by the advertisement for them. Because that's really what sells cereal to children is the advertisements. Like it was a cereal war when we were younger of just like who had the best mascot, who had the best toy that was getting packed in the cereal.
I'll say it's always about the toy. That's usually what would seal the deal.
For me, often it was the tie-in, like what character is on the box from what TV show I like the best. And
Marvel
like
X Rice Krispie treats.
Yes, exactly. Stuff like that. There was a Spider-Man cereal for a while. It wasn't like a Spider-Man, Fruit Loop or anything. Like they had their own Spider-Man cereal, and that one I remember being like, "This is it. I've reached the pinnacle of cereal. It's all downhill from here."
One of my favorites in that vein was Nintendo cereal, but it was two cereals in the box. Half of it was Mario, and the other half was Zelda.
That's genius.
And that was the greatest thing ever.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, but even so, the box looks like an NES case.
Yeah, but like I guess we'll call it specifically. It looks like the like when there was like the Mario / Duck Hunt on the same cartridge one.
Yep.
It looks almost like that, where it was like, you're a kid, you know what this is.
Yep. Yeah, which is kind of genius. And then it's called Nintendo Cereal System instead of Nintendo Entertainment System. Fantastic. I can still buy this for $18 a box. No, it's a reproduction. I can buy a reproduction box of cereal for $18. That is ridiculous.
You know that's the way it works. Josh, the ad alone says introducing a winning combination for breakfast. And Mario says this tastes super. And Link says we rescued breakfast.
We rescued breakfast. Now, would you mix these cereals together or would you eat them separately?
No. You can't do that. That's ridiculous. Well, it's two different bags.
No.
So it's like, it seems silly to open one bag and then open the other one and both go stale.
That's fair.
But in introducing the Nintendo cereal system, Nintendo's breakfast now. 2 cereals in one. Wow. Mix them and match them if you want to. Fruit-flavored Marios, mushrooms and Goombas, berry-flavored Links, Hearts, and Shields. It's breakfast news. If you can't beat them, eat them.
I love copy from old video game ads. Like, if you can't beat them, eat them is so fantastic. Um, in that same vein, let me pull up another another reference here real quick. Okay, so this is an ad for the Neo Geo, and ads in the 90s extremely overtly sexual. So the first thing you see in this image is a woman in lingerie. She looks very frustrated. And there's a man in the picture as well. He's holding a joystick for his Neo Geo near his crotch, so it looks very phallic. The image on the screen, he's playing a game where the monster in the game also looks very phallic. So it's very clear what they're going for here. And the text on the image next to her
Penis
face when she's
jokes.
exactly. The text on the image next to her face says, "I remember when he couldn't keep his hands off me." So that's it. But then it gets so much worse. So when you read the actual kind of copy in it, which is what brought me here, it says things like, "Now he's got that Neo Geo. He used to play all night with me, hot action, fantasy games, you name it. Now he says his Neo Geo gives him more." Um, and then it says, "I make my play, but he's glued to Neo Geo." Stuff like that. Then it gets this whole like paragraph here is just the craziest thing that I've ever read in a print ad. And I can't believe, one, they were allowed to print it, and two, even like I don't even know what they're trying to really go for here, no matter what level we take it on. So it says, he says Neo Geo is the most powerful home entertainment system in the world, and that other systems don't even come close. And lately, neither does he.
How
Like,
ridiculous and stupid.
I just like, if we're taking that incredibly sexually, right? Coming close, like close. What do you mean close? Close to what? What does that mean? Like, I feel like your innuendo needs to not just have like the sex words in it. It has to at least make a little bit of sense. So yeah, that's what that reminded me of, with the tone of the, if you can't beat them, eat them. Just pure 90s advertising. We don't get them like that anymore.
We grew up in a wild time.
We did, yeah, a wild time, a wild unregulated time, really, when it comes to advertising. Like, G.I. Joe was just like, a 20-minute commercial for toys. And there was no redeeming edutainment value at all, like shows at least pretend to have today. It was a wild time.
Those and Transformers were basically like the Kamen Riders of today. Like, you make this, like, you're making the show in service of, we're putting new toys out, we need a tie to it. Like, the show itself is almost irrelevant.
And I feel like it was like, I feel like now, I don't know, as a parent today, like, even if I'm allowing my daughter to watch stuff that's like that, which, yeah, we watch, Power Rangers and stuff together, like, I'm at least aware of what those things are trying to do to her, right? Like, okay, it's trying to sell her a toy, or like, if she sees a commercial or something, like, it's clear, like, okay, yeah, it's really trying to sell her a toy. But like, I feel like, our parents' generation was completely oblivious to that. It was just like, sit them in front of the TV, they're good for hours, and then it's like, what do you mean you want to buy toys now? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
see,
I feel like
I actually think they probably know better than we think they did. Because, like, as I've gotten older, I feel like the dumb things I would say or do, I'd be like, like, someone would tell me something like with their kids, or like I would think about things I did, and I'd be like, no, this makes no sense. Like, there's no way that, like, you wouldn't know what the hell was going on here. And then I think about it, and I'm like, fuck, my mom probably didn't know what I was doing. That's not good.
Yeah. At least, speaking of being a parent to a 3-year-old, she hasn't outsmarted me yet, even though she thinks that she has. So yeah, I assume that continues at least for a little while. Toby, we've got an email this week. Would you like to read an email with me?
I will not read the email. I am staunchly against reading. But
would you like to have an email read to you?
That's the only way I can do it. So let's go.
Perfect. It's the only way you can come close. This email comes to us from Charlie from Texas. Charlie says, hi, this week I have some fun trivia to go along with an idea I have for the podcast. The first fact is about the Vision driver. So, of course,
if there's a pun in here, by the way, Charlie's fired. I'm throwing it out there now.
We'll see when we get there. The first fact is about the Vision driver. So the Vision driver is the driver used by Kamen Rider Glare and Glare 2. I think it's the same one that Glazer uses as well. Gazer, the producer. So they all kind of use the Vision driver. Charlie says when the Vision driver was first revealed in the show and in promotional material, they listed the driver for sale online. However, it was a pre-order that was not scheduled to release until May of 2023, so pretty far off.
We're almost there.
This left plenty of people confused because at the time we did not know about Glare 2 or Gazer. So yeah, they set it really far off. So I guess people were speculating like, oh, why is it so long? Why is it going so long? Because they couldn't sell it earlier, or they would have been a spoiler for Gazer because the toy would have contained like voice lines and stuff that say, Kamen Rider Gazer, Kamen Rider Glare 2. Which I think is very funny. Yeah, exactly. Because the toy has to say all the things, so yeah, they can't sell the toy until you get all the people out on the show, which is very fun. Then Charlie's next fact here is super interesting to me, and especially I think to you and I as people who have been working on figuring out which files to download as we are watching this show. So Charlie says the second fact is about the fan subs of the show. Since episode 20, the TTFC, the place where most fan groups get their footage, which if you recall is the kind of like subscription service for Kamen Rider and for kind of tokusatsu, the TTFC has implemented a new way of encoding the footage. So now when you take the footage from the site, it becomes grainy and lower quality. The only fan sub groups I know that have not been affected are a group that simply takes from the actual broadcast, so they record it live, and another group that gets footage from the Amazon Prime streams of the show.
Is this why Gen M has no longer done episodes since about 20?
I would guess so. Yeah, I would guess this is the reason for the delay / not subbing that we've seen from Genem Corp, which is kind of was our main group that we were downloading from. And then the things that we've been looking at lately have been the rips from the Amazon Prime streams, which have been really, really good quality. Because some of the stuff we were downloading when Genem Corp wasn't around, you could definitely tell the grainy footage that Charlie's talking about here. It was like, they were supposed to be like 720p, but it very much wasn't. It was like super like boxy, especially in like action and stuff, and just like kind of you could see the encoding errors and stuff. So yeah, super interesting to know that that's why that had been happening, and that kind of explains the weird Get M Corp suddenly being late or not subbing. So I think the group that we are using most often now is the one that just gets labeled as anonymous, the Anon group, because they seem to be using the Amazon.
Stealing the good shit from somewhere.
Yeah, they seem to be using the Amazon Prime stuff, and their subs are pretty good. They they do like color coding for the various riders and stuff, which is cool. I like that aspect of it.
They are very fancy. I do enjoy the new version here.
Which makes me I'm not deep into the fan subbing stuff, so I don't know for sure. But it makes me think that maybe they or someone related to them is TV Nihon, because TV Nihon got the cease and desist, so they didn't do Kamen Rider anymore. But TV Nihon was also the group that was really known for really fancy subtitles and color-coded subtitles and all that stuff. And that stuff is continuing on in that like a non-subtitle group. So maybe it's TV Nihon just with a different name. Who knows?
Gotcha.
Then Charlie says, now for the idea I mentioned. If and when you get a Patreon or other supporter type service, by the way, you should totally do that. You could refer to the supporters as the comment sponsors, like the sponsors for the DGP. So not really a pun, but just a name for the patrons.
That's actually not a bad idea.
I like the idea a lot.
I mean, it's kind of on the nose then, because we're actively saying like, yes, you're sponsoring us, but at least it ties into the show, so that actually, Charlie's kind of redeemed himself today. I'll give him some credit.
It works on two levels, right? Because like if you don't know anything about Kamen Rider Geats, it's just like you're a sponsor because obviously you're supporting us with money. You're a sponsor, but at the same time, yeah, it ties into Geats, which is where all this started. So yeah. And happy to hear, Charlie, that that a Patreon is something that you want to see from us. That sounds pretty cool.
Charlie, I appreciate the fact that you would like to give me money.
Toby is not in charge of marketing.
Why not? That's a good sales pitch.
I don't think it is.
Oh, okay.
Please give me money. Give Daddy Toby money.
We'll have to work around this. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll workshop it. All right. So Charlie, thanks for sending in the email. And yeah, interesting little tidbits there. Toby, would you like to talk about Kamen Rider?
I would.
Let's do just that then. We are here to discuss Kamen Rider Geats episode 24. And boy, we got ourselves a recap show. Brr, brr, brr. So yeah, last episode, what happened, Toby? Let's catch people up. What's going on in the world of Kamen Rider Geats?
The world got blown up, basically, by Kamen Rider Baroba.
Yep.
Who might be a demon? She might be a giant bull, but she definitely looks like a Megazord.
The jury's still out. Definitely Megazord, maybe demon. And yeah, this episode is kind of a weird one. Like, so it's framed as a special episode of the Desire Grand Prix because of the actions of Baroba. So it's like, oh, whoops, the world got destroyed. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap for our special fans. They even have like a special term for Desire Grand Prix. It's like the Desigras or something like that. Like I love they have the shortened name for it. And basically the framing of this show, I guess we'll say, is they are showing clips of kind of what's happening, catching you up on the Desire Grand Prix season and kind of what's been going on. Meanwhile, our main heroes are watching this show live as it's airing with their supporters. So Ace is sitting with Jean, Keiwa and Kekara are together, and Neon is in Kyun's room, but she's kind of talking to him via letter, as she's been doing. All three of them are like kind of beaten up and bruised from the big explosion, but they're all alive. So as we were kind of guessing from last episode, no one died in the giant whiteout world-ending explosion, but they had to put some band-aids on, I guess.
Yeah, again, the plot armor is strong, where usually like the more famous you are, the less beat up you look after something crazy like this happens.
Yep.
So they all basically like maybe multiple band-aids on their face, but there's no real damage to any of them because they are all the stars. Exactly.
That's the star of the star of the stars. Despite the fact that this is like something of a clip show, in the at least at the start, in the conversations that happen between the Kamen Riders and the supporters, we do actually find some interesting things out before kind of the big events of the end of this episode.
So like as a general statement, this is, in most medias, this is like the best kind of clip show I've ever seen, because like the wraparound actually works and you're still getting new information, even though they're like hardcore hammering home old information.
Yeah, it's like weirdly it's framed in a way like way better than most clip shows, because like in universe it's a clip show. Like the show is about a show, and the show had to do a clip show because of a catastrophic event that happened in the show. Like it's very funny that like they forced themselves into a clip show to show as a clip show. It's like there's the like layers here are kind of dense and kind of funny. But yeah, it's good in the sense that it catches you up if you've forgotten any of the details, because they've dropped a lot of details about how this works and how the world works and how we got to this point and who we fought and who's not around anymore. So they do catch you up on that stuff, which is what a clip show is supposed to do. But then yeah, like kind of pepper things in and flesh things out. That's kind of the big thing. It's like fleshing out some of the things that we thought we knew before and then telling us a little bit more about them. I think the only clip shows I've seen that I like better than this one are the ones that are like clip shows but not really. Like Community does a great version of this where it is framed and presented as a clip show, but all the clips are things that you've never seen before in the show. So they just filmed a whole bunch of completely original mini skits that they just played throughout the episode. Which is pretty great. A way to turn a clip show on its head.
Yeah, there was an episode an episode of South Park where like it was kind of fourth wall breaking ish, where the episode was like old things that happened. I mean, it's probably the same as Community thing. Like they were remembering things that happened, but they would all remember it like incorrectly because just little kids using their imagination, kind of, or like their poor memory. So it was like a clip show, but it wasn't, because like main aspects of the clips were adjusted a little bit. Like it at least makes it more interesting. If you're in the dire need of we're taking a week off, I guess at least remotely make it easy or make it different where it's enjoyable to watch on the week off.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we've been here every single week, having a reason to continue to watch it when it's just showing you things you've already seen is nice. But revelations, I guess let's talk about the things that we do sort of learn peppered in kind of throughout this. So the first, I think for me, is a little bit more of the nature of the DGP as a whole. So we knew kind of before that the Desire Grand Prix was run by people from the far future, and they were sort of visiting our time, because it's sort of like, when we go back and we watch like, a movie about Sparta or something, like something from ancient Greece or whatever. But the thing they really hammered home here was that like past iterations of the Desire Grand Prix have been set in many different time periods. Like they've done them all over time, in our history, kind of from modern day, and including like what would be considered the future of our time right now have even been kind of the DGP settings.
It's just like Assassin's Creed. It's the same game, just in different times of history.
That's actually a wonderful comparison. Exactly. Yeah. Like we're this overarching group that is setting this game in wherever we want, and we're just sort of dropping it in and running our system, with that new backdrop. Yeah, that's a very good comparison there.
Well, it's funny too, because like while they're addressing the historical parts of it, Neon at some point vaguely asks, have historical figures ever been riders / winners? And it's really weird to think like I mean, like let's play into it. Like maybe like one of our presidents were like a Kamen Rider, and they wished for, I want to be the president, and they became the president because they saved the world, and no one ever knows.
Yeah, that question kind of spun me out into so many like what ifs and how does this works. Because like we were kind of talking about like, okay, if a world gets destroyed, like what does that mean? Is it different realities? And like that answer, seemed to indicate that like this same reality thread has had lots of different DGPs running throughout it, and like historical figures have been DGP winners, and they've become historical figures because of the wishes that they've made. Which is super fascinating. Like you literally could look back and say Abraham Lincoln won the DGP or whatever it might be, and that, but maybe that's true. Who knows? So that's pretty cool. I don't know how that really works into the world destroying and all that stuff, but like building it into the historical backdrop of the world is crazy. I was not expecting that. We also find out that Gene has been a fan of Ace since before Ace became a writer, and we get a really cool flashback to like young Ace. So it's kind of schoolboy Ace. He's walking in a group. Giamato show up, and everyone else runs away, and Ace just like gets his typical Ace resolve on, and just starts kicking Giamato ass, even though he can't actually transform. He's just a civilian. He's never seen these guys before, and he just starts beating them up.
Yeah, I was impressed. Like, it's cool to like think of it that way. Like, they find these they find these people, and they're just like having the best time. And it was just crazy because like I know it's the same actor, but they managed to make him look younger somehow.
Yeah, they like swept
Like,
his hair back, and yeah, he definitely looks much younger.
but it's just crazy because like you said, everyone else just runs away, and he's like, "Oh, I guess this is some shit," and he just runs gung ho in, starts kicking all their asses as a normal human, like we said.
Yeah.
He gets his buckle, and it was weird because like he was wearing like his 3-piece suit, but his buckle was on top of the suit instead of like under the jacket. And like the visual of him like strapped in with basically like a seatbelt around his back and doing the things like the buckles and the drivers and stuff are huge, and obviously they look odd on normal human beings in general. But it's just like a nice reminder of like, yeah, this looks absolutely crazy to see someone just stand there with this giant ass thing wrapped around them.
Yeah, yeah. They've done a good job with the Desire Grand Prix like uniforms. Like those are kind of bulky, and you wear your kind of coat over the driver typically, so you don't see that. But in past seasons, I've always found it kind of funny where, yeah, like your main rider maybe is like some like super skinny kid, and he wears his driver, like maybe he's wearing like a really baggy shirt, but then he puts the driver on, and it like cinches up his waist like super tiny and pulls the shirt in really tight. It's always just like a very funny look. So that was a funny scene to see with young schoolboy Ace with his weird little jacket. We obviously don't know anything about this version of Ace. Like obviously it looks like he's in school. He's kind of carrying like a school bag, and he's wearing, an outfit that looks like it might be a school uniform. But, we also know that there's still some questions about Ace, about where did he come from? And we know there was that comment from the producer about, you have the abilities that aren't really of the modern man. So, there's probably a lot more to sort of this version of Ace than we can really see. But nonetheless, like it seemed like him beating up the Giamato was sort of like Gene's indication of like, oh, we should get that guy to be a writer. And that's what ended up like him being invited to become a Kamen Rider.
The other two like small notable parts to me of like him and Gene talking about their history or like the Geats stuff. When Geats does his first henshin, he just goes like, "Oh, I'm a fox," and just like rolls with it, doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
that one was good. And then when he's talking to Gene was like, "I knew you were a good guy," and Geats is like, "Why?" Or basically like, "Ask why." And Gene's like, "Because I'm basically like an alien, and you're talking to me like I'm a normal person."
Yeah.
And I just thought that was like, Geats just doesn't care. He's just like chilling. He's like, "Okay, you're here, no big deal."
Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on around me right now, so that's just one more.
Yeah, like so the line, at least for us, is Gene says, "You're treating a future being like myself, like anyone else," and he says, "You're very open minded about things." It was just a very nice, like Geats is like, yeah, he is like he just sees shit and then just adjusts.
Yep. Yeah, like he does the henshin, like, oh, I'm a fox, okay, like everything he sort of takes in stride, just like seeing the Giamato show up in front of him, like, okay, I guess I'm fighting these guys now. It was interesting too that hearing the show itself, so hearing the Desire Grand Prix broadcast talk about Geats, it was like and with this version of the Desire Grand Prix, a star has emerged or something like that. And they kind of like do the run through of like all the wishes that Geats has had. So like really playing up the fact that this guy is just a superstar for all the people that are watching the DGP. It's like, yeah, this guy's great. He's awesome. So that was kind of cool. We also get some scenes for our other two main Kamen Riders, and the show kind of talks them up as well. So in addition to Ace being kind of the main big star, they talk about the other two people to kind of rise from the obscurity of the sort of general mass of Kamen Riders, and clearly it's like this trio are like the ones that are being promoted on the show. So Keiwa went to see Kekura again, the frog guy, and basically Kekura tells Keiwa that like Kekura liked him because Keiwa, saved a woman, and Kekura thinks that Keiwa basically is sort of like the prototype of what a Kamen Rider should be. Like he's selfless, he desires world peace. Like basically Kekura says like I see a hero in you, kind of is what the gist
He's
is.
a pure boy.
Which is great, right? Like, because that totally is what Keiwa is, and I like that. I like that the different supporters like value different things, and Kekura is like, no, it's that. Like, that's what a hero is. That's cool.
So, like, I was thinking about it when they talked again. I know they said the frog is supposed to be a living frog and not a statue. But then at that point, I think they need to make the frog move. Because they said again, like, in this conversation, like, he's like, aren't you used to talking frogs? Or talking frog statues again? And he was like, no, I'm a real frog, idiot. So it's just one of those things again where, like, if they're going to keep reminding people of that, I feel like the frog needs to be more than a statue. But who knows?
Well, we certainly get the frog as more than a statue in this episode at the very end.
Spoilers.
And then finally, Neon is in the room of Kyun, we know. Again, she still hasn't met the supporter. He's talking to her via that letter. But, basically he explains he wanted to help her escape her home life. And he just wants to see her happy is kind of the gist of their conversation.
Which is way nicer than when he told her she was a spoiled kid and he doesn't watch Neon TV because he likes her and all the other mean shit he said.
He's landed on pretty thick here with her in these letter conversations. He's definitely like you're the greatest. It's all good. Like, I just want you to be happy, whatever you need. Which is pretty funny. Then of course, Toby, we have catastrophe strikes in our clip show.
Oh no.
We have a hijack of the broadcast. Baroba has sort of cut into the feed and she takes over the show. So this is where
her house, home, castle, whatever, looks absolutely amazing. She's like super baller.
I don't remember like super detailed about what it looked like now. Like, is it super
like it looks like a royal castle vibe.
Yeah.
Like draperies and the royal red colors and
but like her actual like where she's sitting is like kind of super like goth emo, right? Like it matches her vibe, doesn't it? If I remember right.
It's like a perfect her thing.
So she explains again, like just continuing to sort of pepper in details that like we thought we knew, but are getting confirmed. She explains that the Giamato were created to be pawns in the DGP, but thanks to the gardener, they are much more than that now. And then they kind of cut to the scenes of, him using the humans for fertilizer, which means that, they've learned English and are continuing to advance and have thoughts on their own and, that kind of stuff. But I thought that was interesting. Like we sort of have guessed that from the beginning, but like the straight up like explanation that the Giamato were created to support the Desire Grand Prix. Like not like the Grand Prix popped up to fight the Giamato or anything. Like no, they were created just to be enemies.
Yeah.
Which again really goes home to drive some of the point of like the Desire Grand Prix is like not good and not 100% evil. Like it's more just like views everything as their plaything, just sort of like the disregard for life is really kind of what it comes down to. Because you're not in the far future, you're in the old time, you're in whatever. You don't really matter as much as me.
Yeah, it's fake. It's all past stuff.
It's all a game.
If they're like, hey Toby, you want to play some medieval times Kamen Rider? I'd probably be like, why not? Those people are long gone. It's fake.
It would be easy to justify, I think. Yeah, because it's like, like time travel. It's like, well, it's not current, so it's not real anymore. Like I bet a lot of people could really convince themselves of that.
Yeah,
I mean, like they had their whole life. It's fine.
You don't need a lot of mental gymnastics for this one. I feel
No.
like you just kind of you see the situation and go, yeah, this team's okay. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure. We have Baroba go on to introduce what she calls the Giamato Grand Prix, the JGP. And this is she's replacing the DGP, and the premise basically is that the Giamato will fight to defeat the producer and take his driver, and the Giamato that succeeds will get his wish granted. So exactly as the DGP. So it's the reverse DGP for the Giamato.
I love it. I'm glad they finally get their time to shine.
Yeah, they get their time. And Baroba said she was coming for the producer and she was going to steal his driver, and this is certainly a way to do it.
It's a hell of a way to do it.
Sick all of the Giamato directly on him. So yeah, he just sort of gets zeroed in on as he's kind of sitting on this couch here. Baroba has fully time to kind of explain the whole premise of the JGP, and then afterwards, Sumi gets back control of the broadcast, kind of takes back over, and alerts our heroes, kind of urges everyone to come and fight.
If you're watching the show, you have to get outside.
Exactly. And then in like kind, Baroba also urges Buffa to go fight to join her cause.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Grand Prix game going on. You can't skip those.
Can't skip that. And if you win, hey, you might get your wish. And then we are, our assembled heroes show up together to fight the Giamato and kind of fend them off. And I loved this scene. So Ace is there. He looks at Keiwa, he looks at Neon, and he says, like, why are you guys here? Like, why are you fighting? You won't win anything. And they both turn it around and be like, yeah, we can ask you the same thing. And then, like, kind of, he just gives a smirk. I was like, okay, yeah, we're all on the same page here then.
Yeah, like his smirk was very like, I love my friends kind of smirk. Like, these are my people. I'm very proud of them right now.
Yeah, it totally was. Yeah. So they're there to, save the world. And, it still is a little selfish on all of their parts, I guess, too, because like we talked about last episode, they still want to, preserve the DGP enough that they can, get their wish granted. But, at the same time, I think they understand the danger that Baroba presents for sure.
Well, especially at that point, too. Like, they're obviously locked in and committed to all this. So if you've gone through this much shit already, it seems silly to be like, oh, well I'm not going to fight to get the game back. Fuck it. Let's just do whatever. Like,
yeah, I'll go.
You're all in at this point.
Because you also have to know, too, any of the Giamato that get their wish, whether it's Buffa or any of the others, like, those wishes are going to be, like, fucked up. You probably don't want to live in a world where those wishes come true.
You never know. What if the Giamato that wins was the one that was in the school that was just doing his homework? And
That's true.
The kill was, the secret mission was attack the one doing nothing wrong. Like, he could just wish for he could wish for Keiwa's wish. We don't know.
He could, but I also feel like the fact that they attacked him means he's going to be like, I want all Kamen Riders to die.
They pushed him to the wrong side.
That was his real villain origin story.
I was doing schoolwork and I got murdered. Now I'm back. Fuck these people.
Exactly. And then, of course, the big set piece to end the episode, Toby, is ridiculous. So Kamen Rider Gene, we already knew about him. He's a supporter. He's a Kamen Rider. Baroba, the Giamato supporter, we knew that she can transform into, the giant, huge Megazord-esque Kamen Rider. However, the two of them are kind of having a confrontation. Gene, of course, wants to defend the DGP because he likes the show. He wants to protect it. Baroba wants to take it down. The two of them are about to square off into a fight, and then a new person walks into frame. His voice sounds vaguely familiar, and he talks about, don't you like my human form?
So he didn't sound vaguely familiar. And I was like, who the hell is the old guy?
Oh, okay, I recognize the voice.
Okay, because even when he said, don't you like my human form, I couldn't think of who it was. And I think it took me either until they pointed it out or until he transformed into his rider form of a giant Zord frog. And I was like, oh yeah, he has a fucking chain around his neck. He's definitely the frog, because that's like Now I got it.
He even does in the human form. He first does this kind of weird pose, but then he does the like squat pose, just like the frog does. Like he sort of matches the frog's pose, and like right before he transforms. So like I was pretty in on who he was because I like recognized the voice. They're definitely like pitching it up as the frog and like putting a filter on it. But it definitely is the same voice actor for sure.
It took me longer than it should have, but I got there.
So yeah, he shows up and wants to join in on the fight, and also Kiyun, who is Neon's supporter, shows up. So the guy that we'd previously met, kind of dressing her down after the cafe when she was the disaster. Now he's showing up as well, and everybody transforms. So Kekara turns into the giant frog, and then Kiyun turns into like it's like a wolf thing or something. Is that what it was? I'm forgetting.
So it was hard to tell the whole time. I took
it's four-legged for sure.
Yeah, I took a still frame real quick. It looks like a lion-ish, but his like his little helmet form thing looks like a cat, like Neon's. So I don't. Maybe it's like a panther, like a black panther. I guess would be the closest thing I can.
Huh? Yeah, I guess that could be. Well, it'd be interesting to see more of him for sure in coming episodes. But yeah, I was expecting, like, when I realized they were all going to show up and I realized they all had the guns and they were going to transform, I was like, oh, is this going to be like everybody's a rider? And it shocked me when it was like they were animal form riders. I did not expect that.
Well, yeah, especially after like Gene doing his, I was like, okay, he's the fancy rider. When they all started henshining, I was like, okay, they're all gonna have cool costumes. Here we go. And then they both turned into Zords. I was like, I did not see this coming.
Me either. I'm kind of happy that they're not riders because, like, like 2 more riders on top of how many people can turn into Kamen Riders at this point. That's like too many, right? Like that's at some point it's just like, okay, we've got too many people who are turning into like humanoid riders. So it's kind of nice that we have some other things bouncing around.
And bounce around they did.
Oh, they certainly do. They still all kind of have the same like design language, we'll say, of Gene and of Baroba. Like they definitely look like they are all related and from the future. But yeah, drastically different between all of them. And they fight and flying around like crazy and huge explosions and of course meanwhile our Kamen Rider heroes are also fighting. So it's this like big insane like Avengers-esque battle that's happening as the episode ends. And I'm still left with all
they do, and then with that they do a really cool, like they cut in and out of the humans fighting and then like the Zord side battle. And like they actually make it look like they're all together. So just like you said, very Marvel Final Battle-esque, but they did a good job of blending everything together in spite of the fact that like half of it's obviously super fake CG and half of it's real people martial artsing and all the things.
Yeah, I thought the CG wasn't bad this time around. Like, for it being a fight that is 100% CG as far as the supporters go, I thought it all looked pretty okay. And then like the blending it into where the humans were fighting was like really good for their normal version of that. Like think back to the kick the can monster and how bad some of that looked when they merged in the human and the CG stuff. So they've definitely improved on that. That looks all right.
They stepped up. They're bringing their A game now.
But yeah, like the only thing I could think of was like Avengers, like I was saying with that. We're just like fighting a giant monster, flying around them, shooting lasers everywhere. It was definitely that vibe for sure. And I still am like 100% completely lost on like where we go from now. So like the JGP is happening. I guess that's gonna be the sort of like DGP replacement equivalent of what we do for a few episodes.
I feel like you only really get like, I'll give them 2 more, maybe 3 tops, where I think it would still work of like, hey, the Yamato are running their own game. Because beyond that, like I feel like it's going to get old of just like, hey, we're still just kind of battling each other every week. We're not really getting anywhere. Like,
I agree.
Obviously they're coming after each other, but yeah, I feel like this is like one of the things we can't do for too long overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because also like we can't, there aren't like named Giamato aside from Buffa. So like it's not like we can have like root for your favorite Giamato week to week or anything like that, and like give them personalities unless they start doing that.
Which
at
they
least
could do. You never know.
They totally could. Yeah. But at least as of right now, like Buffa would be one who you'd like care if he won or lost as the game went on, but the rest of them at this point at least are kind of like nameless, faceless.
Just
maybe they bring back the guy who was studying and he's like, I'm here to study and I'm all out of books. I don't know, but yeah, I was kind of I was excited going into this episode because it was like, okay, well, we'll see what they do with like the world ending and see if they're going to spin up a new game or whatever, and I'm even more confused now about the direction.
They still got plenty of time to do whatever they gotta.
They do, yeah. That's the exciting part. Yeah, so I'm stoked. I hope that this ends like the JGP stuff. I hope at some point before the whole show's over, I hope we go to future time. Like I hope we go to the time that all the producer and supporter and game master and stuff are from, because I just want to see like far flung future fighting.
I feel like the fix for that, or the way they can do it where it works, is just have the 3 kids go into the future to like stop the evil producer.
Totally, yeah.
And then just to save their world or show that their world's worth saving, even though the game's over or some shit. But I can see that being the ending, like the 3 of them going in the future together to save their own time and go back, and they have world peace now because they went in the future and changed things because it's time travel. You can make whatever rules you want to. And...
I can totally see it. All right, we're calling it now here in episode 24. That's the ending that we're building to. We'll see how horribly wrong we are. All right. Any other predictions for the future?
I think that's the big one for now.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, that's gonna do it for us for this episode. As always, the spiel is go and subscribe to us in podcast form if you like. Just search for the Kamen Riders in your favorite podcast app, or subscribe to us on YouTube. The channel is called Pretty Deece, and you can find the playlist of all of our video versions of our episodes by going to KamenRiderSucks.com. Of course, we always love reviews and thumbs up and ratings on all those things, so leave those if you so choose. And send us emails, cast@KamenRiderSucks.com. We love hearing from you guys. We love getting the fun little tidbits about the fandom and about behind the scenes and stuff that we might not know. Those are always cool. Or just fun stuff about the show, fun stuff you've been doing. That's always fun to hear too. You can also keep up with us in between episodes. Toby, where can the people find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at Life of Tobes, and on the YouTube sphere, you can find me at Tobes Plays or tobesplays.com, or however you find your favorite content creators on the YouTube.
I usually just close my eyes and then click randomly is what I do.
That's a way to do it. You never did. It could work. There's enough there's enough people out there where it could work.
Yeah. If an unlimited amount of Joshes click randomly on the screen, one of them finds Toby.
Yeah, and that's that's how we became friends.
That's right. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr. I am at Pretty Deece Josh, both of those places. Feel free to reach out and say hey. Of course, send us an email and shout us out like that. And we'll be back for next episode, Geats 25, and see what in the world the JGP is going to hold. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sun.